You are not here by chance, and you know it. Your soul has already recognized this frequency before your mind could understand it. You are not ready for what you are feeling, but you are already living it. Energy is moving with an intensity that cannot be ignored. Portal 8 is already active, and this time it is not a ritual to express beautiful desires or a set of statements. It is a real, deep reconfiguration that comes to shake your entire system. Do you feel it? That strange vacuum, that chest pressure that comes without explanation, that internal urgency to do something but without knowing what, are not common symptoms. They are codes, signals. Something inside you is being rearranged at the cellular level, at the energy level. And if you are listening to this, it is because you are already in the field of the portal. The Leon Puerta is not a pretty metaphor. It is a living technology, an invisible test that has already started and that many are already reproving without realizing it. This year is not for everyone. The portal does not open for those who want it, but for those who are ready. And being ready does not mean feeling prepared. It means being willing to let everything that no longer vibrates with your truth. This message does not come to give you comfortable answers. He comes to confront you, because you can't keep denying it. You cannot continue pretending that everything is fine when every cell of your body is shouting that something has already changed. You already tried everything. Resist, ignore, postpone, adapt. And none of that returned your peace. Because this time, it is not a mental election, it is an activation of the soul. And if something inside you is shaking while listening to this, it is because you recognize that this internal movement has already begun, even if you still do not understand it. This is not a message to entertain you. It is a luminous warning. It's a call to wake up now, because what is coming does not expect, and you can no longer asleep. If you are seeing this, if you got here, do not ignore it. You are already inside. This is not another video. It is not a message that simply appeared. It is a synchrony, a direct call to that part of you that has been waiting for the time to free itself, because something inside you already knows. This is not just lunar energy or one more astrological alignment. It is a reprogramming of your complete field. It is the beginning of a process that you will not be able to stop once it begins, and that in fact, it has already begun. Have you felt disconnected from everything lately? Have you noticed how it cost you to be in places that were previously comfortable? How routine became unbearable? How certain people began to feel alien, even invasive? It is no accident. The portal's energy field is active and cleaning. It is separating, stirring, undoing everything that no longer takes place in your next version. And if you have felt strange, confused, more emotional than usual, even with intense dreams or constant insomnia, it is because your soul is in transition. Your body knows, your energy knows. What you previously held naturally now weighs. You can no longer force yourself to fit. You cannot keep pretending that it does not hurt. And that pain you are feeling is not a weakness. It is a sign that you are waking up. The portal is scanning everything inside you, even what you had hidden. And if it hurts, it is because you are touching those wounds that you had disguised for so long. This is not a soft change. It is not a kind transformation. It is a kind of energy delivery. Your old identity is being expelled from the body. And if you don't know what to do with this internal chaos, don't scare yourself. It's not about knowing, it's about letting go. To let the truth that lives within you break through without asking permission, because you can no longer live in survival mode. The time to pretend ended. What you are going through is not confusion, it is deprogramming. You are not lost, you are being stripped inside. The 8-8 portal field is starting at root everything that no longer holds the expansion that your soul came to embody. And no, he doesn't feel pretty, he doesn't feel comfortable. That's why it is hard for you to breathe sometimes. That's why you get up tired even if you have slept. That's why you feel floating, taken off from everything that was anchored before. It is the effect of vibrational readjustment. It is the old skin detaching from you. And although part of you wants to stop, another deeper part already understood that there is no turning back. You already felt it. You saw it. You already knew that something inside you does not fit before. And now you are here, between what you were and what you haven't finished being. Suspended, exposed, vulnerable. But you are not failing. You are crossing. This is not a mistake. It is the exact point of the path in which your soul begins to recover its true voice. A voice that does not need to shout to feel. A vibration that is not imposed, but that transforms everything that touches. And that is why lately there is so much discomfort around you, because your new frequency is generating echo in the structures that no longer support you. People who move away, tense links, works that no longer fit, habits that resist. It is not that you are losing everything, it is that what does not resonate with you is beginning to fall alone. You don't need to fight it, just allow it. Because this portal does not ask you to understand with your mind, it asks you to give yourself with your soul. And if it hurts to let go, if you feel like a kind of grief, it is because part of you is still identified with an old version that can no longer follow here. Honor that version, thank him, but don't keep dragging it, because the portal has already chosen you and your soul already said yes, although you have not yet accepted it at all. You may not understand it yet with words, but you are feeling it in the body, in the skin, in the chest that is suddenly compressed without explanation. That pressure is not common anxiety, it is the accumulated energy load for years, trying to leave, break the surface, be released. Because the Lion Puerta portal is not activated outside, it is activated within you. And when he does, he starts at root everything you hid to fit, everything you buried to survive. That is why it is so difficult for you to smile when you do not feel it, socialize when there is no connection, maintain habits that are no longer aligned. You are not failing. You are being refined. You are being cleaned inside with an intensity that your mind cannot explain, but your soul recognizes. The field is talking and does so through subtle symptoms, sudden tiredness, uncontrollable emotions, insomnia without apparent cause, dreams so vivid that they leave you with the agitated body. This is no accident, this is real. It is the language of your energy being updated. And while a part of you wants to return to the comfort of the known, there is another that can no longer pretend. That part already understood that if it stays where it is, it goes out. Because staying the same is no longer safe, now it is dangerous. The soul shouts and you ignore it. But she doesn't leave. She insists. She vibrates. She clicks from the inside as an ancestral drum that comes to break the silence. And in that drum is the call. Are you living the life that your soul chose? Or are you still caught in the script that others wrote for you? This portal did not come to give you comfortable answers. He came to shake, to wake up, to act, to stop negotiating with what he no longer vibrates with you. Because if you don't loose now, the field will do it for you. And believe me, it hurts more when the universe has to start what you refuse to let go. And if everything you are feeling lately is not a collapse but an openness, what if that strange vacuum that you cannot explain is not depression, but a new space that is being created within you? Because what the portal is doing is not destroying you, is emptying what you are no longer. And of course it hurts. Of course it confuses. Because for years you identified with that role, with that form, with that mask that is now melting in front of your eyes. And the most difficult thing is that you can't stop it. You can't hold on to what already expired. You are seeing it in your daily life. Projects that fall apart without logical reason. People who move away without prior notice. Emotions that appear with a force that you cannot control. This is not meaningless chaos. It is a cosmic restructuring. It is the energy of your soul claiming space to incarnate completely. And that does not happen without shaking. It does not happen without collapses. Because your old version can no longer support the frequency of what you are called to be. And even if part of you wants to run, hide, anesthetize, you can't. Because you saw, you already felt, you already woke up, and there is no way to sleep at all. Your nervous system is learning to adapt to a new vibration. That is why sometimes you feel calm in the midst of chaos. That is why you smile for no apparent reason, while everything around you seems to be changing. You are not insensitive. You are not going cold. You are integrating. You are entering coherence. And that coherence feels strange at the beginning because you are used to drama, conflict, fight. But now, in the midst of everything, a silence appears. A sacred silence that you had not felt before. And that silence is your sign. It is the field telling you it is already happening. You are already inside. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to stop resisting and allowing you to be crossed by this energy that, although challenging, is here to return to you. You are not alone, even if it seems so. This stage of the process is not isolation, it is vibratory selection. You are being separated, not because you are less, but because you are being tuned. Portal 8:8 not only opens possibilities, it also closes roads. And one of the first that is sealing is easy access to the old dynamics. That is why many of your relationships feel distant, forced, as if they no longer had common language with you. You can no longer force yourself to belong where your energy no longer enters. And although a part of you insists on holding links from nostalgia, from custom, or from guilt, the field does not allow it. It is generating friction, silence, distance, to clearly show you that it is no longer there. Because this time, you can't take old company to the new destination. And this, although it hurts, is one of the biggest tests of the portal. Are you able to sustain yourself without emotional crutches? Can you inhabit your truth, even if that leaves you only a while? That is the real initiation. You no longer need to be understood. You no longer need to be approved. You no longer need to be validated. Because this new cycle is not built from the unit, but from sovereignty. And that is why everything that is not born from your deepest truth is collapsing. You notice in your way of communicating, in how you no longer have energy to explain, justify, or convince anyone. Your field is in purification mode. He is erasing what he no longer contributes, and that cleaning can feel as loss, but in reality, it is preparation. You are not being abandoned. You are being sustained silent. You're at the exact point where your soul needs you to be, alone with you, without interference, without external noise. And if you can inhabit that silence without escaping, without running to distract you, then everything that comes will know that it can land, because you finally made space. This is the threshold, this is the crack, and there is no going back. You are being rebuilt from within. And now that you are here, feeling everything that is emerging from the most hidden layers of you, it is time for you to recognize it. You are no longer the same. Although your environment does not see it yet, even if your mirror still shows a family image, internally, something already distrusted. It is not visible, but it is irreversible. And maybe that's why you feel like suspended lately, as if nothing fit at all, as if you were between floors of a house that you no longer recognize. And yes, it is exactly that. You are no longer on the ground floor of your old version, but you have not yet fully risen to your new level. You are in transit. You are in transition. You are in that invisible hall that cannot be explained with words, but that feels with the whole body. It is the most delicate moment of the process. There is no clear form. There is no logical direction, only a silent whisper that asks you to trust. It is here where many surrender, where the mind begins to sabotage with doubts, impatiently, in need of control. But you are not here to repeat the old pattern. This time, you are here to hold you, to stay, not to escape. Because every time you chose to postpone your jump, that energy was stagnant inside you. And that's why you sometimes feel weight, exhaustion, mental confusion. Not that you are broken, there are versions of yours without completing. And this portal not only gives you access to the new you, it also gives you the possibility of closing, of sealing, of finally releasing the parts that were halfway. But you need presence, you need silence. You need to stop looking for external certainties and start listening to the clarity that already lives within you. Because now, it's not about looking for answers. It's about remembering to return to your center, to let what has to fall, fall, without trial, without guilt, only as part of the cycle. Because what is collapsing outside is just a reflection of what already collapsed inside. And that collapse is not destruction. It is rebirth in its purest state. Have you realized how you don't need so many words? As if explaining what you feel were useless, as if every attempt to translate the internal one got rid of the mouth before leaving. That is because your language is changing. It is no longer about what you can say, but what you can hold in silence. This stage does not require speeches, it requires presence. And that's why life has begun to shut up from outside. Empty conversations that no longer make sense. Relationships that only survive if you pretend. Spaces where you can no longer breathe. It is not punishment. It is alignment. You are learning to stop talking to please, to stop explaining so that they do not move away, to stop justifying you to understand you. Because your energy no longer wants to be digested, wants to be embodied. This version of you that is being born does not need permission to exist. It only needs space. And that is what the portal is asking you. Do you dare to inhabit your truth without disguising it, without softening it, without makeup to be accepted? Because when you do, when you finally choose your authenticity, even if that makes you incomprehensible for many, something changes. It does not outside, inside. A new vibration is activated, a new frequency begins to emit from you, and that is power. Not the power he imposes, but the one who magnetizes. It is that energy that does not need to be explained, because it feels, it is recognized, and then your environment changes, not because you forces it, but because you are no longer available to hold what does not vibrate with you. And what does not align begins to get rid of. And yes, sometimes it will hurt. Sometimes you will feel that you lose more than you earn. But that is illusion. What you are releasing is what was preventing you from seeing who you really are. Because when you choose honestly, the universe responds with the same force. And there begins the true magic, when what you were looking for outside begins to demonstrate from within. There is something that you can no longer deny, and it is that your body knows it before you. Your energy field is already responding to frequencies that your mind still fails to understand. That is why lately you feel sudden fatigue, moments of clarity followed by intense confusion, a kind of emotional sway that does not align with what you see outside. You are not getting unstable. You are being recalibrated. The portal is modifying your internal architecture, and that implies reordering everything. Thoughts, habits, emotions, and especially identities. The mask that you had not found it anymore. You may discover reacting different from situations that previously overflowed you, or feeling strange detachment for roles that previously defined your value. That is a sign that the character is dissolving. And yes, you can feel scary at the beginning, as if you were losing the ground, as if something inside you died slowly. But that death is not a loss, it is a liberation. It is the exit of the soul from the prison of the expectations of others. Because for years, you molded to be functional, to be approved, to fit. But now, the frequency of your truth is demanding space, and he does it with force. Everything you are no longer. That is why nearby people no longer understand you. That is why you have felt the urgent need to be alone. Because there are yours that can only emerge in silence. This is not an emotional retirement. It is an energy incubation. You are being protected to be born again. And what is coming requires that you are clean, available, conscious. because the portal's energy does not reward the one who appears to be ready, rewards the one who surrenders without conditions, who dares to stay in a vacuum without running to fill it with the old, to which the soul takes command, even if the mind has no map. And if you are here, if you are still listening, it is because you already started that process. Because at some level, you said yes. You can no longer lie to you. You feel it deep in your energy skin, as if your soul had broken the internal silence, and now every emotion, every thought, each choice was being measured by a superior intelligence that lives in you. It is not paranoia. It is not external pressure. It is consciousness raising without asking permission. And with her, there is a truth that you cannot continue dodging. Many of the things you still try to hold have already died, and you know it. They no longer vibrate. They no longer light anything in you. They are only by habit for fear or emotional memory. And yet there you continue, dragging what you should be dropping, holding what you should be leaving. How long are you going to continue betraying you in the name of stability? How long are you going to keep applauding what your heart has already decided? This portal is not waiting for your calendar. It will not align with your excuses. It is happening now. And the frequency you broadcast at this time is the one that your next cycle is building. Because there is no space between what you think and what you project. Everything is amplifying. Everything is returning. If you choose clarity, it is activated. If you choose confusion too, the portal does not discriminate, it only reflects. That is why it is urgent that you observe your thoughts, that you listen to your internal dialogue, that you pay attention to the emotions you hold when nobody sees you. Because that, and only that, is what the universe is using as raw material to design what is coming. And if you feel fear, don't hide. If you feel anguish, do not tapes. Pay her, brush it, express it, not to dramatize it, but to dissolve it. Because what is expressed is transformed, and what is hidden is enquista. This is no longer a time of emotional accumulation. It is a moment of total transmutation. Your energy field is asking for space, lightness, truth, and the only way to give it to him is to stop charging with what was never yours. It is to release with conscience and decision before life forces you to do it without choice. Everything in you is being summoned to a silent rewriting. There is no manual, there is no map, there are no guarantees, only an internal certainty that burns as a flame that does not go out. You can no longer live as before. Maybe you still don't know how new will be, but you already know with absolute clarity what you can't continue, and that is more than enough, because the portal does not require that you have answers. It only asks for availability. Availability to drop what he expired. Availability not to explain the inexplicable. Availability not to hold links that require you to shrink so as not to bother. This energy does not tolerate the false. What is not real begins to tremble, to collapse, to wilt. Because the field of this 8-8 portal does not feed masks, it feeds souls. And if lately you have felt disconnected from what I used to excite you, if you surprise yourself crying without apparent cause or feeling a type of loneliness that has no form, it is not that something is wrong with you. It is that you are ceasing to be who you were to be who you are. It is a gentle but total rupture. You can no longer look for meaning where there is only repetition. You can no longer pretend motivation where there is only obligation. Your frequency has become demanding. He no longer supports the self, deception, nor the I am well said in a broken voice. The portal is facing your truth. Can you hold it? Can you look in the mirror without editing? Can you feel what you feel without denying it? Because that is the real leap. Do not change to please. Do not heal to prove. Do not transform yourself to be accepted. The real jump occurs when you dare to see yourself completely, even in your disorder, even in your cracks, even in your discomfort. Because there, right there, where you have no answers, is where the frequency that the portal recognizes as authenticity is activated. And from there, From that honest vibration, it is that everything begins to align, not from the effort, but from truth. There is something that this portal comes to remember you without surroundings. You can't take your costumes to the other side. And no matter how useful they have been in the past, no matter if they served you to survive, please, or belong, that version of yours that learned to be functional, to say the right thing, to hide what hurt with a smile, is being disassembled. And it hurts, yes, because you got used to her, because you confused her who you really were. But you weren't. You were an adaptation, a character, an emotional construction that is now cracking under the weight of so much new energy that wants to enter. That is why lately you have a hard time recognizing you. That's why you look in the mirror and there is something in your gaze that changed. It is as if an ancient part of you had left without saying goodbye. And although that can be scary, there is also relief, because behind the character you are, raw, real, no ornaments, without the need to look good with anyone, only you, breathing, feeling, holding you. And that is more than enough, because in this cycle, you no longer need to prove that you are awake. You just need to be willing to drop what you are not. And that provision is what activates the portal codes. Not your rituals, not your repeated statements from the mind. What opens this door is not what you do to look high, is what you are willing to let die to be free. And that includes thoughts, relationships, beliefs, emotional contracts that you swears. Everything is being reviewed, everything is being scanned by a larger consciousness that is not formed with the superficial. Because you can't create from the wound anymore. You can no longer hold your life from scarcity, from need, from fear not being enough. This portal does not seek to improve you, seeks to strip you. Take off layers until you find the only thing that really matters. Your truth, vibrating without interference. And when that happens, when you decide not to put the mask again, everything that is real begins to find you alone. Lately, you have felt that your sensitivity increased, as if the stimuli that you used to tolerate it now were too much. Lights that tire you, conversations that exhaust you, sounds that irritate you, even thoughts that seem oblivious but cross you. It is not weakness, it is vibrational adjustment. Your energy field is being tuned, and that makes everything that is not aligned with your new frequency begins to feel invasive, as if you no longer had emotional skin to protect yourself from external noise. What happens is that you can no longer live anesthetized. The portal is tearing the latest layers of your armor so you can feel totally, so you don't escape yourself. Do you feel that your emotions are in the leather? What are you crying without knowing why? That you laugh in the middle of chaos, that you move with the simple. It is because you are avoiding, because your soul is returning to the body, and that is not done without shaking. Every tear is a cleaning, each shudder an activation, every moment of deep silence an expansion. This is not a mental process, it is biological, spiritual, cosmic. And if your body feels strange, it is because he is learning to contain the new version of you. You can no longer react as before. You can't lie to you as before, because now your vibration speaks before your words. Your presence shouts what your mouth is silent. And the field responds to that. That is why some people move away. Not because you are wrong, but because your energy no longer allows them to hide. It shows them what they still don't want to see of themselves. And that is not your responsibility. Your work is not to be small so as not to bother. Your work is to expand, even if that means being misunderstood. Because this portal does not ask you to be understood. It asks you to be true, that you hold, even when no one else does. And if you can do it, if you can inhabit your truth without disguise, then you will begin to attract not from the lack, but from the frequency. And that's where everything changes. There is something you need to hear clearly, even if it hurts. You can't keep holding what is turning off, and you know, because you have felt it again and again in recent days. In those spaces where you pretend that everything is fine, but inside you are implicating. That discomfort is not accidental. It is your soul talking in a language that you can no longer ignore. Each discomfort is an alert. Each physical tension is a warning. Does it hard for you to breathe in certain places? Do you feel oppression when talking to certain people? Are there environments that inspired you before and now they drain? Then listen, because the portal does not have time for your justifications. He is not here to keep negotiating with what has already ended. It is here to cut, to clean, to tear out everything that has ceased to be true in your life. And if you don't do it, he will do it for you. This energy does not come to ask permission. It comes to reveal where you are betraying yourself. And that doesn't feel pretty. It feels like an internal tremor that makes you question everything, your decisions, your habits, your links, even your identity. It is not madness. It is lucidity that you still don't know how to name. And if you dare to stay there, without running, without anesthesia, without filling the void with distractions, you will discover something sacred. You will discover that under the noise, there is a force that never went out. A voice that was always hoping you finally give you control. That voice is your truth. And when you listen to it without wanting to correct it, without trying to adjust it to the expectations of the world, everything will begin to move in your favor. Not because you are acting from the control, but because you will finally be vibrating from the origin. And from there, from that energy coherence, the field aligns with you, because the universe does not respond to your words, respond to your frequency. And that frequency is already asking for space. Do not tapes. Don't postpone her. Do not betray it again. You are at that point where it is no longer useful to look back, where any attempt to return to the energy past feels like a forced setback, such as trying to enter a skin that is no longer yours. And you feel it every time you try to repeat old routines, resume habits that before structure, look for answers in people or places that no longer vibrate with you. All that now weighs you, and not because it is wrong, but because it no longer belongs to your current frequency. You are in the midst of a process that does not admit reverse, and that feeling of disorientation is not a sign that you were wrong, but confirmation that the jump has already happened. And right now, when you feel more vulnerable, more confused, more on the verge of collapse, it is when you need to remember this. You are not being punished, you are being comforted. And so that this new version of you can completely land, everything that does not hold it has to fall. The masks, the speeches, the emotional loyalties, the promises you made from fear or from the need to belong, all. Because the portal does not negotiate with what already expired. Drag it, he exposes it, undoes it, and you, in the midst of everything, are being invited to look without filters. Let's see what you evaded for years, to feel what you repressed with so much effort. And if in these days you discover yourself having intense thoughts, contradictory emotions, inexplicable tremors, it is because your system is releasing entire programming layers that are no longer compatible with your evolution. You are being cleaned from the root. And yes, you can feel as if you were losing control, but it's just your ego releasing command. The soul does not need control, it needs space. And if you dare to give it up, if you stop resisting and allow this energy to do what it came to do, you will discover something that changes everything, that you were never broken. You were just wrapped in a skin that was no longer yours. And now, finally, you are dating. If you feel that you no longer belong to anything, that what before you excited you now leaves you empty, that the conversations feel hollow and the days become strangely silent, it is because your soul is going through the threshold. You are stopping the world from the character, and that transit is never comfortable. It is a moment of suspension, where you are no longer where you were, but you still don't get to where you are going. And yes, it can be disconcerting. You can feel as if you float between realities, as if all the known were fading without a clear alternative. But it is precisely there, in that apparent nothing, where your new vibration begins to be built. Not from hurry, not from urgency, from the fertile vacuum that the universe created for you. Because Portal 8-8 not only takes away what is no longer useful, it also cleans space for what will come. And that space, although now sits as loneliness, is actually protection. It is the field surrounding you, covering you, silencing external noise, so that you finally listen to what matters. And in that silence, if you allow yourself to remain without running to fill it, you will begin to feel soft pulses, intuitions that do not come from the mind, internal movements that seem small, but that are huge in their meaning. Because now it is no longer about pursuing signs outside. It is about starting to recognize the voice that was always with you, but that hardly now can speak without interference. Your soul. And that soul does not ask for explanations, results, or perfection. He only asks you to stay available. Do not close your heart when you still don't see the way. Do not sabote just when you are closer to total alignment. Because the moment is not tomorrow. It is not when everything is clear. It is now, right here. At this moment, where there are no certainties, but there is a truth that clicks on your chest. And that truth is the compass that will guide you towards the new, if you dare to follow it without looking back. And even if you don't seem like it, all this you are going through is an initiation. It is not chaos destroying you. It is the conscience opening its way. It is the soul claiming its sacred space within a structure that can no longer work with the old codes. Therefore, what was enough before is no longer. Therefore, what you were silent before now burns. Therefore, you can no longer pretend normality when a new you are being developed inside. The portal is pushing you without softness because it knows that if you did not, you would continue to postpone the jump. And it is not a punishment. It is an act of cosmic love. It is the universe saying it's time. Time to stop asking permission. Time to release the applause you needed so much. Time to stop looking for approval in those who could never really see you. Time to return to you without ornaments, without excuses, without delays, because you already tried everything, fitting, adapt, mold yourself to what was expected, and yet you kept feeling the void, not because you are broken, but because your soul does not fit in that mold. Never quota. And this portal came to remind you with a force that leaves no room for doubt. He came to cut the invisible threads that still bind you to your compressed version. And yes, that implies discomfort. It implies losing false assurances. It implies seeing how certain doors close without understanding why. But behind each closure, there is a redirection. Behind each loss, a release. Behind each final, a start that still cannot be shown. Because you first need to release. You need to trust movement without demanding guarantees. Because only when you release completely, the portal acts with all its power. Not when you understand it, but when you embody it. And just that is what you are starting to do. You are stop looking for change from the mind to start allowing it from the soul. And there, in that surrender without surrender, it is where the real leap occurs. So breathe. Do not try to understand everything with your mind. Do not try to control the uncontrollable. Just breathe and feel. Because if you got here, if you are still listening with an open heart, it is because something inside you already crossed. You don't need to know how to continue. You just need to recognize yourself at this moment as the soul that you really are. Without costumes, without masks, no need for perfection. This portal did not come to make you better. He came to return to your essence, to the stillness that lives behind the noise, to that serene light that was always waiting for you. What you are feeling is not a weakness, it is presence. What you are going through is not an end, it is a silent expansion. And maybe the world does not see it. Maybe nobody applauds your awakening, but your energy does know. And that energy no longer needs permission to shine. You have freed yourself from the eyes of others. You have broken invisible pacts that kept your soul tied to the character. You have heard the call, and although fearful, you have responded. Not with great gestures, not with shouts, with something much more powerful, your disposition. And that is enough. because the universe does not need to get perfect, you need to get honest. And you are doing it, step by step, silence to silence, tear a tear. You are being rebuilt from the purest vibration. And in that process, in that surrender, the new reality is born. One that is not imposed from outside, but emanating from your center. A frequency that you cannot explain, but embody. A peace that does not depend on anything, because it is born of you. Stay there. Do not run. No forces. Just stay. Let yourself feel what is left. Let yourself bless what left. And trust. Because if you got here, it was not by chance. It was because your soul already decided a long time ago. And this moment, this exact point in time, is only the confirmation that you are already what you were looking for. You are already. Now it only remains to remember, live it, and honor it with each step. The rest will come alone.